for Trump in general, there again, going back to him being graded on a curve, the thing for Biden's State of the Union, that the bar was so lower that he just had to clear it in terms of delivering a speech effectively because there's so many questions about his mental acuity. But the thing that I keep telling people, because I feel like we have ceded the ground to this, is that poll after poll after poll shows that a majority of Americans, not to the same extent, but have serious questions about Trump's mental fitness. And, then it gets back to, we're talking about Trump quotes. I mean, I know Trump was highly educated. I think he went to Wharton. Was that right? Did he go to Wharton School of Law something like that? Yeah.
Business.
I think he got a BA.
School of business?
Yeah, he had a business degree.
So I'm sure the guy is not like an idiot, in terms of like IQ or whatever, but everyone who's ever
degrees,
worked for him,
boys.
Say what?
C's get degrees, boys. Never forget.
Very true. Touche. But like everybody who's worked for Trump in a reasonable, like in a meaningful capacity when he was president, like his former chiefs of staff, secretaries of state, they all say he's an idiot and that he's profoundly uncurious. And the guy is a gaffe machine as much as Biden. So to me, that's the other frustrating thing, is that's a double standard manifest there.
Who's
Trump
grading
says,
on a curve now?
Exactly.
Sorry, I just think Trump is so much worse. I don't know.
I mean, I knew people,
and crazy stuff he's done.
I mean, I knew people in the intelligence world who said that it was extremely difficult to brief Trump. That like Trump had it was hard to basically get him to understand anything and pay attention to anything. He very uncurious, like you said. There was that I think it was in his first few days as president. He instituted a policy where his briefs had to be one page and they had to have lots of pictures because he just really genuinely speaking genuinely speaking, like he's not. And to be fair, like I don't think Trump is like a bumbling idiot. I had a conversation with my conservative friend and he said, look, I think Trump's probably above average IQ. And I was like, that's definitely not true. But I wouldn't say he's like a bumbling idiot. I would say maybe he's like a standard deviation below the rest of us. Like he's just kind of stupid. And I think that when a lot of times people will make the fair comparison. They'll say, look at a video of Biden talking from 20 years ago and look at a video of Biden talking today. And they'll say, look, Biden's just a lot slower. Like he's thinking slower. He's not thinking as quickly. He's not as sharp as he used to be. And that's like undoubtedly true. I think if you compare and contrast Biden when he was 60 to Biden when he's 80 today, there's definitely a difference. But at the same time, if you look at a video from Trump when 20, 40 years ago, there is also a clear difference. Trump from the 1980s sounds extremely articulate compared to what he is today. And again, I'm not comfortable saying he has dementia, but like, when you're almost 80 years old, almost everyone's going to be a little bit slower than they used to be, right? I mean, that's just kind of a natural part of aging.
You can't say that he has dementia because he remembered 5 words on a test he took 6 years ago.
TV, woman,
person,
elephant, person. Yeah, but like it's fascinating because again, I've made this.
I love it. Hold on. I love that part where he's like, I got the best score on the mental test, and it's they say it's a difficult test. They say it's a difficult test, and then I think it was like CNN that was like, this was the test, and it was like, which one of these is a giraffe?
One of them is like, what is the date today?
It's literally Peter Griffin with the easier questions, and that one gets, you know what I'm talking about?
No, for real.
Yeah,
for real. I mean, because it's not an IQ test, right? It is literally to test if you
are mentally challenged. I don't know,
or if you have some sort of
easy way,
but if you have some sort of cognitive impairment, like related to dementia or Alzheimer's, right? And so the thing is, though, if you go back, like you said, you don't even have to go. Like you go back and watch Conan O'Brien interviews, or Oprah Winfrey interviews, or Larry King interviews with Donald Trump in even the early aughts. There is a noticeable change. Because I'm with you. I mean, I don't deny the fact that Biden is clearly, he suffers from some sort of age-related slowness, right? But I don't think it's dementia or Alzheimer's or anything else. He's
look at
an
your
old
euphemisms.
Guy.
Those are deep state euphemisms.
Right. That's right, exactly. I'm reading off the note card right now. No, they would never. The deep state would never permit this.
Right, you mean brain mush?
I am off. I am outside of the line. I'm coloring outside the lines right now by even saying this. But the question is whether there's competence there. And for me, if Biden has lost a step in terms of verbal agility, I think it was Lawrence O'Donnell who said on MSNBC a couple of weeks ago that, believe it or not, we don't elect presidents specifically to make speeches. They are head of state, right? So speech making and trying to unify the country, that is important. but they are chief executive first, right? So they're an administrator, they're head of government first and foremost. And so for me, the question
take a
is,
little issue with that there, Pondering. I love you, and I
all
mean
right,
it.
go ahead. What's up?
And listen, I totally agree that part of being a good president absolutely is policy and getting good people in charge. But I would say a huge part of it, not an insignificant part, a huge part is rallying the country and putting forth your vision and getting the country on board and on the same page. Because frankly, it's a unified head of state who, when the time calls for it, needs to be able to speak candidly to the American people and get them on board for policy ends. So in other words, you could have the best policy in the world, but if you can't get the people on board, what use is it? Or you could have the best results in terms of the bipartisan infrastructure, most investment, all that stuff. And I agree with all those policy achievements. And part of the struggle has been for the administration to properly, I think, sell their record. But if you cannot communicate that to the American people, what good are you? In other words, perception in some ways is reality. And so I do think that Biden's, even though I would vote for Biden if he couldn't talk, if he was mute, if he was like, over Trump, right? Because I think Trump is such an existential danger. But I think that any kind of problem in communication is a substantive criticism, because a huge part of the role is communication with the American people.
Let's try to parse this out. So again, as head of state, yes, there is a communicative element there, but I don't take it as far as I feel like a lot of people do, which they evaluate the strength of Biden's presidency based on his ability to give off the cuff answers or how often he does interviews. I want to be very clear about this. Biden, in my estimation, or any president, let's be very clear, any president, in my estimation, would still be fulfilling their obligations as head of state, head of government, and commander-in-chief of the armed forces if they gave one interview a year. Because we have an entire apparatus devoted to communicating the president's agenda to the American people. You have a press secretary, you have surrogates and things like that. In fact, as a matter of fact, if I see the president in front of a camera every day conducting interviews, it's like, buddy, you need to be in the fucking situation room. You need to be behind the Resolute desk. I don't need to see you all the goddamn time the way Trump was omnipresent. And that's to me, Trump was an overcorrection as somebody who was a performer rather than an executive. And you can also tell based on how little he aged. That was something that was brought up recently too, which I thought was an excellent point. Trump did not physically age during his presidency, and that's how you know that he was not, actually engaged in the substance of running the country. And so, to me, I hear you. Communication is important, but I would rank, or if I have to choose between a competent executive and a competent communicator, executive comes first, communicator is a distant second.